Good evening, Unanda. We welcome you all to the international webinar series on holistic health, well-being, and sustainable development 2025, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 77 years of independence and United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030 as part of awareness and campaigns in collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute Center for Art, Sciences and Wellbeing. Before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's commemorations. Today is commemorated as International Cli-Fi Day, which is observed on April 20 every year. Cli-Fi means climate change fiction. It is a genre separate from science fiction or speculative fiction genre. As planet is suffering the consequences of global warming due to the release of carbon emissions, some authors explore global climate change in their novels. There are a lot of films that deal with this topic and try to raise awareness about the dangerous consequences of climate change on our planet. And it is of utmost importance that we change our current habits to sustainable practices to avoid the destruction of our species. Fiction teaches us about the world we live in, and human beings are not only inhabitants of Earth, we are surrounded by ecosystems full of different forms of life, plants, animals, fungi, protists, archaea, and bacteria, and so on. So these different forms of life interact with each other in perfect synchronization. Human activities interrupt this perfect interaction, which has consequences for our planet. Nowadays, the genre of climate fiction or cli-fi is emerging and teaches us about the climate change crisis that will affect our lives for as long as we inhabit Earth. In simple words, climate fiction is stories of films that deal with climate change or stories about global warming. It is often speculative and tries to show how humanity would deal with a climate disaster in a world similar to our own or future. Technology that has been built to combat climate change is often included. The term climate fiction is relatively new. It started gaining prominence around 2010 in light of our more recent knowledge of the seriousness of climate change. Nowadays, more and more books are surfacing about this topic. The term cli-fi was created by freelance writer Dan Bloom in 2011 in a press release for Jim Loftus' Polar City, read a novel dealing with climate refuges in a future Alaska. Bloom published the cli-fi report, the online resource serving all things climate fiction. Climate fiction highlights the intensifies and intensifies the present and future risks of climate change in a way that reporting simply cannot. Today is also commemorated as Go Fly a Kite Day in US, which is celebrated on third Sunday of April every year. This year it will take place on April 20. The phrase go fly a kite does not always literally mean you should go and fly a kite. It is also an idiom that is used when you want someone to go away or leave you alone. This is because telling someone to go fly a kite requires them to do so. The phrases initially appeared in the 1940s and remained popular for several decades afterward. This national festival is taken to indicate that the individual should go fly a kite instead of telling someone to leave. A kite is a light frame wrapped in paper, plastic, or fabric, generally with a stabilizing tail, and intended to be flown at the end of a long string in the air. Kites are supposed to have originated in China, easternmost province, and were spread across Asia by traders who transported them to India and then to Korea and in various locations. Unique kite types evolved as well as various cultural codes for flying them. Kites made of bamboo and covered in silk and paper were common in early days. For millennia, kites have been used to ward off evil and send messages, raise banners, represent the gods, uncover natural phenomena, drop propaganda leaflets, propel craft, spy on adversaries, photograph the earth, broadcast radio signals, measure the weather, transport passengers into the sky, and catch fish, and so on. Kites are currently flown for sport and enjoyment as well as a traditional form of artistic expression. The kite was the first aircraft to take to the air, and it served as a forerunner to manned flight. Today is also commemorated as Lima Bean Respect Day in US. As we are eagerly preparing to celebrate with enthusiasm by doing the best thing possible and indulging in Lima beans for an entire day. Though famously referred to as butter beans, Lima beans have many other names. The wax bean, Chad bean, Siva bean, double bean, Rangoon bean, Burma bean, and Madagascar bean are among many others. And they are very much edible. Lima Bean Respect Day, however, was created to give recognition to the wonderful, tasty, nutritious legumes. Lima beans. People observe this day by making delicious Lima bean recipes and enjoy them with friends and family. Its scientific name, Phaseolus lunatus, technically means half moon, which pertains to the bean shape. Lima bean symbolizes both war and eternal life. Rich in protein, fiber, and other nutrients, it has an accolade of being a superfood, but could also be poisonous when eaten raw. Today is also commemorated as Look Alike Day in US, honors those who have a striking resemblance to another person. There is someone, or maybe two, or maybe up to seven out there who looks just like you. Give them same haircut and they might take your place at the dinner table without raising any alarm. Your doppelganger might not be famous, but sharing similar features with someone is still worth celebrating. National Look Alike Day is an opportunity to learn what other people who look like you are doing with their lives, connect with them, and scare your family and friends with the revelation. Today is also commemorated as National Pineapple Upside Down Day in US, celebrated annually on April 20, encourages you to tingle your taste buds with the tropical delight. It has been dubbed one of the most popular recipes of the 20th century, and there are dozens of variations that will fit the needs of any palate. For example, the tropical factor in dish, go ahead and add a splash of dark rum to the batter for on other fun ideas on how to celebrate this day. Hundreds of years ago, people used cast iron skillets to cook fruit cakes over open flames. Any type of fruit would produce a delicious tasting cake. With the fruit lining at the bottom of the skillet and cake batter added over the fruit, the pan would be flipped over after cooking, revealing a beautiful showing of caramelized fruit on top. The earliest cast iron skillets were called spiders because they had legs, and the cakes themselves were commonly known at that time as spider cakes. Once ovens became a fixture in the homes of Americans, the skillets lost their legs, transitioning to a flat bottom pan that would easily fit into ovens. Today is also commemorated as National Stop Snoring Week from April 20. In UK, the British Snoring and Sleep Apnea Association, in short known as BSSAA, declared National Stop Snoring Week to raise awareness about the snoring and sleep issues related to dangerous snoring. Snoring affects a large portion of the adult population. Long-term snoring can be an indicator of potentially fatal sleep disorder known as obstructive sleep apnea in 4% to 10% of the adults. Snoring and sleep apnea are two ends of sleep breathing spectrum. The snoring is produced by turbulence and resistance in the back of the throat, usually caused by an abundance of soft tissue. Snoring is a big issue for many people who believe that a decent night's sleep is a human right. Sound sleep has a strong influence on the good health. Indeed, sleep is so crucial that the World Health Organization held a meeting to review the long term effects on the health of the disturbed sleep. Sleep disturbances, budding hear impairment, declining daily functionality, mental health difficulties, cognitive challenges, and unacceptable social behavior can all be indicators for long term exposure to loud noise. Sleep deprivation can also harm physiological stems, which as hormonal release, glucose regulation, and cardiovascular functions, resulting in poor overall health. According to the research, the louder the noise, the poorer the sleep. The noise quality is also an issue. Snoring can range from gentle vibrations or whistles to a very loud growlings. Some noises are irritating while others, despite being at the same volume, are not. The noise of snoring is well known to be one that cannot be tolerated for long without disturbing sleep. Today is also commemorated as UN Chinese Language Day, which is held on 20th every year. It's a day that is used to celebrate cultural diversity and multilingualism. The Chinese language is one of the 6 official languages chosen by United Nations. This day helps to promote equal usage of the official languages. There are 6 days that are dedicated to each of the 6 official languages. These days are observed all around the world. The events of the day help to promote Chinese culture and the beauty of diversity. It is an opportunity for everyone to understand how different cultures have many similarities as well as differences. The Chinese language has been in existence for thousands of years. The Sino-Tibetan language family was formed by the Chinese, and the credit for the origin of the Chinese language goes to Tianji. Tianji is a well-known and important figure in ancient China. He is known to be an official historian on the Yellow Emperor and inventor of Chinese characters. The date for the day was chosen to honor Kang Yi, the first historic official historians invented the Chinese characters when Yellow Emperor first began his reign. Different dialects formed the spread throughout the provinces of China. Most of the archaic Chinese that were spoken during the early and middle 11th to 7th century BC isn't such much in modern Chinese. The UN Chinese Language Day was established by the UN to promote cultural diversity and multilingualism. The aim was to spread more information to the people about the history of the Chinese language. People are taught about the benefits they can enjoy by learning to speak Chinese language. The United Nations made it an official language in 1946, and the General Assembly included Chinese as a working language in 1970. And many people in the United Nations work with Chinese as the functional language. Promoting the use of Chinese language helps to encourage more people to speak more than one language. Learning languages is great for mind and helps to expand your horizons. More people get to see how interesting diving into other cultures can be. There is a lot we can all learn from cultures all over the world. Learning another language like Chinese also helps us to connect with people who speak the same language. Today is also commemorated as Volunteer Recognition Day in US, observed every year on April 20. As the name suggests, it's a day to honor, recognize, and celebrate the selfless individuals who volunteer their time and energy to help others and promote good causes. Volunteers do all this without expecting compensation or appreciation for their efforts, and this is what is so inspiring. Volunteers can be found in all sectors, community kitchens, hospitals, retirement homes, or war zones. Their selfless sacrifice desires applause from the rest of the world. As the name suggests, Volunteer Recognition Day is a day to recognize, honor, and celebrate people who selflessly volunteer their time, energy, and resources today towards helping others without seeking any compensation for themselves. The volunteer has been defined by the Cambridge Dictionary as a person who does something, especially helping other people willing and without being forced or paid to do it. The act of volunteering is perhaps as old as humanity itself or close. People have been offering to help assist others in times of need for eons. However, the word volunteering made its first appearance during the 1630s, but only came into full use in 1755. Then it was construed into a military sense, referring to people who volunteered to join the army. Indeed, the origin of the organized volunteering can be traced directly to wartime. Women would volunteer to nurse wounded soldiers on the battlefield, while others would put all efforts into making uniforms for them. One of the foremost volunteering organizations of all time, the Red Cross, was also founded in response to war. Henry Dunant, who had witnessed injured soldiers being left without adequate medical support in the Battle of Solferino, couldn't help out take up matter. He wrote down his ideas in a book called A Souvenir of Solferino, which advocated that every army should be made to care for wounded soldiers regardless of what side they are fighting. Ever since, volunteering takes different shapes and forms and transcends various industries. People volunteer to visit old places, some work on weekends at community kitchens, while others travel to foreign lands and help the needy. Volunteering as a noble, worthy act that should be carried out by all of us. Today is also commemorated as Easter. It celebrates the resurrection of Jesus Christ, a central belief for Christians worldwide and the focal point of their faith. Religious scholars believe that event occurred 3 days after the Romans crucified Jesus in roughly 30 AD. Christians therefore derive hope that they too will experience a resurrection in heaven. Today is also commemorated as Sky Awareness Week, which is marked every last full week in April. And this year it will be celebrated from April 20 to 26. It is celebrated at this time of the year when skies are mostly clear, when we get the most out of sky gazing. With the hustle and bustle of daily life, it is easy to get lost in our technological devices and not appreciate the nature surrounding us or above us, but once we take time to look up, we are instantly mesmerized by the shape of clouds and spectrum of colors in the vast sky. Sky awareness aims to get people away from their phones and coped up spaces and go out to look at the sky to help make this a habit. A whole week is dedicated to looking up at the myriad of formations and patterns against the backdrop of such soft, huge sky. It is said that we need awareness about the sky. Technology is great, but it has shifted humans from appreciating the simple things in life. Hustle culture has also reduced our attention spans, which is why it is so important to step out and get lost in the colors and patterns of the vast sky above. Sky gazing is therapeutic, and with time, one can even learn to identify and the weather signals. This week is also commemorated as Neurodiagnostic Week from April 20 to 26, which is observed every year during the third full week of April. This year it takes place in this week. So this week highlights the concept of neurodiagnostics, the technologies, and the profession to raise awareness about such groundbreaking achievements in the medical industry, as well as to encourage students to join the profession. Neurodiagnostics is the study of electrical activity in the brain and nervous system and is the discipline responsible for our EEG, EP, and PSG systems, to mention a few. This week was created and sponsored by one of the oldest and leading pioneers of the profession, the American Society of Electroneurodiagnostic Technologies, in short known as ESSEC. Neurodiagnosis could be a difficult term to pronounce, and it can even be tougher concept to grasp when you come across it for the first time. That is why we are using Neurodiagnostics Week as an opportunity to tell you all you need to know about unfamiliar yet very important medical topic. Neurodiagnosis is the study of electrical activity in the brain and nervous system. This includes the central and peripheral systems. The discipline has a lengthy history, and the profession has come a long way over the decades. It all started in 1929 with development of the first neurodiagnostic test, the electroencephalogram EEG. This test records the ongoing electrical activity of the brain and was set up by Hans Berger, a German psychiatrist. EEG findings were used in diagnosing conditions like epilepsy, coma, and other neurological symptoms in children. And by the 1950s, it was being used in major medical centers and also in private practice. This was the first step in the neurodiagnostic profession. After the breakthrough and popularity of the technology, like minds came together to form a first EEG societies, the American Clinical Neurophysiology Society, ACNS, and the American Electroencephalographic Society, AEEGS, which also became the foundation through which the American Society of Encephalographic Technologists, ASL, was founded. Later in the century, evoked potential EP technologies entered the scene and were used to diagnose conditions like multiple sclerosis and other brainstem functionality. Since then, there has been several technological advancements in the field with the creation of technologies such as interoperative physiological monitoring, IONM, polysomnography, PSG, and nerve conduction studies, NCS. Neurodiagnostic Week was established by ESSEC to raise awareness about neurodiagnostic technologies and the profession. This week is also commemorated as National Volunteer Week in US, which is celebrated during third week of April, and this year it will be observed in this week. And this week-long celebration is about placing a spotlight on inspiring figures whose invaluable seeds of kindness through volunteering are bettering the community and our world in general. The significant celebration, which was established in 1974, provides a perfect opportunity to say thank you. It also challenges us to do better and look for ways to be active participants, joining hands to impact our local communities and calling for more support. The power to transform lives and our world in general is visible at every turn. The National Volunteer Week raises awareness about the need to beef up volunteer efforts and preaches the world gratifying sense of fulfillment derived through acts of volunteering. The word volunteer derived from the late 16th century French volontaire, meaning voluntary, was associated with the military one who offers himself for military service. In the 1630s, it began to transcend beyond the non-military service. The National Volunteer Week officially took root in the US in 1974, many thanks to the 37th US President Richard Nixon, who established it with an executive order. It has since become a tradition followed by other emerging presidents today, growing to incorporate different willing participants and featuring a variety of projects and events that span throughout the week. This week is also commemorated as National Coin Week in US, which occurs on the third week of April, and this year it will be observed from April 20 to 26. This week celebrates the popular hobby collecting coins, paper money, and other numismatic objects. Contrary to some belief, this well-known pastime is not just for elite eccentric individuals. It is rich in sense that is closely interrelated with extravagantly rich topics such as history, science, culture, and the arts. National Coin Week was created to give recognition to this hobby of collecting coins practiced by vast number of people around the world. Today is also commemorated as Medical Laboratory Professionals Week, which is annually held during the last full week in April. This is observed from 20 to 26 April. This highlights the vital role played by laboratory professionals in the field of medicine. The Medical Laboratory Professionals Week, in short known as MLPW, initiative inaugurated in 1975 by the American Society for Medical Technology. Now, the American Society for Clinical Laboratory Science, in short known as ASCLS, was dubbed National Medical Laboratory Week upon inception. The medical laboratory science field is crucial to the healthcare system, and although usually unrecognized, the important work of lab professionals, testing, diagnosing, and treatment process goes a long way in saving lives. Medical laboratory science has since its inception been committed to powering quality healthcare. One look around us today, especially with the pandemic ravaging our world since 2020, and one can't help but feel truly grateful for the amazing work of medical laboratory professionals. This profession has a fascinating history that dates back to the mid 1920s, where we find earliest histories of clinical laboratory science. In the early 1900s, having a laboratory was extremely expensive, but the late 19th century ushered a wave of illness, typhoid, tuberculosis, diphtheria, etc., which called for patients to be tested and cured. Effects of World War I brought in a shortage of qualified staff, and the 1919 American College of Surgeons accreditation further demanded that hospitals have labs. Around 1936. The American Society of Medical Technologies was born, hence the term medical technologist. California took things a step further by becoming the first state to institute licensure, and by World War II, recognition was beginning to take hold in the clinical science field with an increased salaries. Today is also commemorated as International Mariachi Week, which is celebrated in the last week of April, and this is marked from April 20 to 27. This week-long celebration is all about absolutely wonderful musical performances and all-around fun. Though it originated in Mexico, the Marachi is now recognized globally and is celebrated everywhere, especially in the Americas and Europe. These musical performances are synonymous with celebrations, as people usually hire mariachis to perform birthdays, weddings, baptism, funerals, surprise parties, and probably any celebration you can think of. It's a week of non-stop fun and should be celebrated by everyone. This week is also commemorated as Infertility Awareness Week in US from April 20 to 26, which is observed on last full week of April. Most often before Mother's Day, it is a significant observance that aims to raise awareness about infertility, the non-existent support structures, and the challenge those encountering fertility face. Infertility is a common challenge that doesn't discriminate, affecting everyone, regardless of age, religion, sexuality, or economic status. The initiative encourages sharing of infertility stories or reproductive issues to change the narrative and get the necessary support for making the journey easier. So, women should not be left alone in the struggle. A quick scan in today's world, we see that a sad pattern of women's worth being equated with her ability to birth a child. Her worth and womanhood are reduced to nothing as long she is of age and is yet to reproduce. The journey toward conception can be deeply isolating, distressing, and frustrating, to say the least, especially for women of color who are fed with the belief of infertility talk being tough. Anger, anxiety, frustration, self blame, self hate, low self esteem, shame, and depression are the feelings faced during the trying time. While for some, getting pregnant is a breeze, others go through a quiet struggle. According to the research, an estimated 1 in 8 couples struggle with infertility. In the USA, infertility is said to be a condition when a couple is unable to get pregnant after 1 year of regular unprotected sex. For females over the age of 35, medical advice should be sought after 6 months of trying. As fertility sharply starts declining at age 35, lifestyle factors, including age, decreasing chances as one gets older, genetics, genes, and reproductive lifespan, hormones, progesterone, ovulation, periods, gynecological issues, fallopian tube defects, pelvic inflammatory disease, PID, endometriosis, medical history, done surgery to the ovaries, lifestyle like smoking, being underweight, drinking, stress resulting in hormonal imbalance. All of these or any of these can play a major role in determining fertility. Infertility is highly stigmatized in today's world, especially in the Black community, pushing forward a change in narrative, urging for these challenges to be talked out, removing associating stigmas and barriers, and building families. Resolve the National Fertility Association kickstarted the National Infertility Awareness Week movement, raising awareness about the significant lack of access to family members, family building options, and emotional support for millions of women and men struggling to build a family. It's also commemorated as Chemists Celebrate Earth Week, which is an annual event held during the same week as Earth Day, which happens to be on April 22nd. It takes place from April 20 to 26. For decades, chemists have been indeed working to promote a peaceful future through green initiatives, phosphate-free detergents, environmental monitoring, cleaner burning fuels, and recycling plastics. The American Chemical Society, ACS, founded in Chemists Celebrates Earth Week, CCEW, public awareness campaign to promote a positive role that chemistry plays in the world. It is a significant celebration of the laudable efforts towards preserving our planet. From 2003 to 2017, this event was the only day long, but in 2018 became a whole week of activities aimed at reflecting on discussing the importance of chemistry to the planet. The first ever Earth Day was celebrated in 1970, and its goal was to highlight the importance of nature and environment. This day is observed worldwide now and promotes initiatives that support sustainability and ecological awareness. Chemists Celebrate Earth Day was born as a companion to this day in the US and has now become Chemists Celebrate Earth Week. This event promoted the American Chemical Society, is celebrated all across the country by students, technicians, and business to promote the role chemists and chemistry play in sustainability and the planet as a whole. Scientists are responsible for some of the most important initiatives towards making the world a greener place, being the creators and developers of recycling techniques, cleaner fuels and detergents, the environmental monitoring. Every year, the ACS chooses a specific theme to discuss through a chemist celebrate. Earth Week previous themes include dive into marine chemistry, energy, it's everywhere and protecting our planet through chemistry. The chosen theme for 2023 celebration is the curious chemistry of amazing algae. This week is also commemorated as Administrative Professionals Week from April 20 to 26 in US, which is celebrated in the last week, full week in April. This year it is observed in this week is dedicated to recognizing, applauding the brilliant work of administrative personals like receptionists, secretaries, administrative assistants, executive assistants, personal assistants, customer support, among other administrative support professionals. Administrative professionals power the corporate world in untold ways, and for every unspoken thank you. The week represents a perfect opportunity to make amends. Originally established as National Secretaries Day in 1952 in efforts to celebrate secretaries and their significant contributions to the workplace. After undergoing several changes, APW came into existence. So finally, before concluding, today, as we are celebrating Chinese Language Day, Language Days at the United Nations seeks to celebrate multilingualism and cultural diversity, as well as to promote equal use of all six official languages throughout the organization. Under the initiative, UN duty stations around the world celebrate 6 separate days, each dedicated to one of the organization's 6 official languages. The date for the Chinese Day was selected from Guyu, rain of millet, which is the sixth of 24 solar terms in the traditional East Asian calendars, to pay tribute to Kanji. Kanji is a very important figure in ancient China, claimed to be an official historian of the Yellow Emperor and the inventor of Chinese characters. Legend has it that he had 4 eyes and 4 pupils, and that when he invented the characters, the deities and ghosts cried and the sky rained millet. From then on, Chinese people celebrate the day Guyu in honor of Kanji in the Gregorian calendar. It usually begins around April 20. So Chinese was established as an official language at the United Nations in 1946. However, in early years, Chinese was not commonly used in the work of United Nations. The situation was improved after restoration of the lawful rights of the People's Republic of China in United Nations in 1971. In 1973, the General Assembly included Chinese as a working language, which was followed by the Security Council in 1974. More and more UN officers and staff members work with Chinese language. So with this, we shall end today's commemorations. Thank you everyone for joining us. We request everyone to quickly fill up the feedback form, which has been raised in the form of votes. To see you all tomorrow at the same time. with the same link. Take care. Good night.